everyone, and thank you for joining me while I show you the 20 books that I want to pick up this year. 20 for 2020. Now, I'm really bad at doing this. Every year I list a load of books and I'm lucky if I read one or two of them. And so by putting 20 on this year, I feel like I'm being very ambitious, but with my TBR game, that's not where it should be, so it's not visible. But with my TBR game, there is a prompt on there that I go on every month without fail. So in theory, I should be able to pick up at least 12 of these, along with throwing some others in just because they're ones I'm desperate to read. So I've picked 10 physical books and 10 Kindle books. I'll start off with the physical books because it's quite an interesting pile. I've limited the pile of physical books purely to books that I have been gifted by friends and family over the last couple of years, and that it's just rude that I've not got to at this point. So this should help me knock a lot of these off this year. The first one I've got is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I don't feel too bad about this one yet. Aoife got me this one for my birthday last year, so I've only had it a couple of months, so it's not too bad. But all the same, I don't want this to become the same theme for a lot of these other books on this pile and be on my shelf for years without me reading it, so I want to get to it this year and be timely for once in my life. Here is a perfect example. Aoife also got me the Bronze Horseman by Paullina Simons 2, maybe longer years ago, and this is her favourite book of all time, and I've still not picked it up. I mean, granted, it's partly because it's so thick with a tiny font. I mean, how many pages is this? Over 600 in this tiny font, so it has put me off a little bit, but I'm sure I'll end up enjoying it. So I'm going to force myself to pick it up this year, because once I get into it, I'm going to be like, why did I leave it so long to read this book? I just know I am. I think it was last year, no, the year before, keep track of what year I'm on, that Aoife also got me Gilded Cage by Vic James. This should be everything that I love again. She's really good at picking out books that I love. The books that I have read that she has sent me, I've loved. So there's no excuse even for this one. This one's got a great size font. I should be able to fly through it. And it's a quite short read. So another one from Aoife. This is The Girl from the Savoy by Hazel Gaynor. I don't know an awful lot about this one other than it being historical fiction. I don't remember much about it. And this one, at least I've got the excuse of, we're talking again, a 500-page book. But the font's not too small in this one, so it should be quicker of a read than the Bronze Horseman. And again, I'm almost guaranteed to love it. So quite a few years ago, Luke bought me an incredibly short book. It's ridiculous that I haven't read this yet. And this is All We Shall Know by Donal. Ryan. I mean, how many pages is this? Less than 200 pages. No excuse at all. A slightly newer one on this pile is another book from Aoife, and this is Girl in the Rearview Mirror by Kelsey Dimberg. I only got this one in November, so again, I don't feel too bad about this one either. But all the same, I can't remember what this one's about because neither of us had ever heard of it. I read the kind of basic outline of it when it first came, but I didn't want to spoil myself either, so I've not really got much of a clue what this is about, and so I'm desperate to know what it's about. Luke, or at least I think it was Luke, got me Becoming the Supervet, Listening to the Animals by Noel Fitzpatrick. I love Supervet. I love books about animals. I love non-fiction. I should really end up loving this, and I'm annoyed that I haven't yet read it. It's got cute pictures in it, so it's not like it's solid text. I've got things to really get stuck into. I'll end up loving this, and it's a crime I've not picked it up yet. Several years ago for Christmas, my mum got me Blue, Our Story Blue or Rise, and it's rude that I haven't picked it up at this point. I mean, we're talking probably 3 years ago, probably. I need to read this because then she can read it too. I don't even remember who got me this one anymore. That's how long I've had it, but I think it was Luke. And this is Reveal by Robbie Williams. It's not an autobiography. It was written by Chris Heath, who did his other one. I can't think what it's called. Feel. It's got a signed book plate in it. Why have I not read this yet? I'm such a massive Robbie fan. I mean, granted, it's a little bit chunkier, but I'll fly through it because I always fly through these types of books. And the last physical book we have here is one from Luke. This is All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn, Greenwood. This is a book that I saw Heath review a good few years ago now, and I was like really eager to check out. So Luke bought it me because he'd asked Heath what books he should buy me. And that is pretty much the end of this story because it's been sat on my bookshelf ever since. I've got a feeling I'm going to absolutely love this book, and I need to stop putting it off and just actually read it. So with that theme done for the physical books, I didn't want to just try and clear out gifts this year. I also wanted to try and pick up some books that I've been meaning to pick up for the longest time. Maybe they're authors that I've never read and I want to check out. Some of them are authors that I want to get into their work and I've got a lot of work, so I just want to get started and stuck in. Some of them are authors that I want to get more stuck in with and that I've kind of dabbled with a bit already. And then there's just some where I've just been desperate to read the book for forever and I've owned it for forever. So the first book on this part of the list is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I bought years ago the full bind up of all the books that are currently out on Kindle. I even started reading it at some point, then got really behind on my NetGalley books and put it down with the intention of picking it back up because I'd enjoyed what I'd read so far. That was quite a few years ago and I've never picked it back up. I'm really annoyed with myself because why put down a book that you're enjoying and never pick it back up? It doesn't make any sense. I want to be able to watch the TV show and I've not read any of the books. So this year, if I get just that one knocked out, it'll be progress. A book, again, that I've been dying to read for years now and that I've actually owned since the 20th of February 2015. Thanks, Amazon, for telling me how awfully long I've owned a book for. And this is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This book just sounds like everything I would love. I was almost tempted to save this book for 5-star predictions because I've got such a feeling I'm going to love this book. The last couple of years I've dabbled in a little bit of Stephen King and I want to dig further into his work, and I was a bit torn on which title to put on this list, but in the end I went for The Shining. So this year I'd also quite like to pick up Dr. Sleep, but I especially will be gutted if I don't at least read The Shining. I also want to dabble more in some Terry Pratchett and get into the Discworld series. I've read The Colour of Magic at some point in my life before I tracked what I was reading on Goodreads. So I want to give that a reread and take it from there, basically. I've never read any Neil Gaiman and I'm desperate to read some Neil Gaiman. And after looking at what I owned and umming and ahhing over which book I should pick, I've gone for American Gods because I've watched part of the TV show. I think we've only watched season 1 and we keep putting off starting season 2, but that's been enough to intrigue me and I want to read the source material, aka this chunky book. To go in a different direction, I've been wanting to pick up some Frederick Bachman for forever. And so I thought as good a place to start as any is A Man Called Uwe. So I'll be gutted if I don't get around to reading this one this year. Then a book just kind of almost picked at random, to be honest. A book from a book series that I've owned for a few years now and want to get stuck into this year is The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. This book always gets fabulous reviews and I've kind of left it to the point where the hype has gone totally extinct. So I think I need to get on board with this series now while I still care enough, and I actually think I'm going to love it anyway. I wanted to make sure that I picked up some more historical fiction this year other than what's on the physical pile, so I've also got The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna as a book that I want to read this year because this is such a beloved historical fiction novel and I want to check it out. I've owned several Robin Hobb books for some years now. I mean, I bought this Kindle book the 20th of September 2014. And this is Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first book in the Farseer trilogy. And since my goal for a couple of years now is to start dabbling more and more into some deeper fantasy other than just the odd little YA fantasy here and there, the odd little adult fantasy here and there, I thought this would be another great one to pick up. I've picked a lot of chunky books, haven't I? This one would seem like a strange choice unless you understand my bizarre reading tastes. And this one is The Name of the Star by Maureen Johnson. I'm desperate to pick this book series up because it follows a ghost hunting teen mystery, modern day London being plagued by a series of brutal murders that kind of replica Jack the Ripper. And there's the key word, Jack the Ripper. So I'm obsessed with books that are based around Jack the Ripper, non-fiction about Jack the Ripper. I've done the Jack the Ripper walk multiple times, and so this book screams to me, so time to pick it up. And that is all 20 books. Wow. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know what books you are desperate to read this year. Let me know whether you are desperate to read any of these too, whether you've read any of these and you're like, oh my god, you need to read this right now. Why haven't you yet? Because then I can try and pick these in some sort of order. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me. And I will see you soon. Bye bye.